Now, why in the world, in an 8-game conference schedule, which should be really easy, it should be 4 home and 4 away, I have 1 away game, 2 away games, 3 away games, 4 away games, 5 away games, 6 away games. What is up, everybody? It is Jake back with the MF Film Room. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football, hit that red subscribe button, hit the like button, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And if you like college football content, don't forget to subscribe to my other channel, Master Football with Jake. Post a link in the description. We discuss college football over there. But enough about all that EA college football content. Let's go. All right, guys, so I am still playing the game here. We got a lot more how-tos coming out. We got more news nights. I'm loving this. The fact that football season's over. I know the Super Bowl's a couple days from now, but you can already feel like, man, when's football going to be back, especially college football? The cool thing about that is with EA college football now, not having to worry about and play NCAA 2014. Again, love NCAA 2014. We get the updated game now that we can actually play. The cool thing about that is we'll be able to play this and that. We'll be able to stream. I'm probably going to be streaming some of my Dynasty games. I'm trying to rebuild San Jose State right now, and it is rough. Nick Nash, we're in the year 1, and we absolutely terrible. We're in the Big Ten. It's a really, really hard time. But the cool thing about this is that EA College Football 26 was announced recently, so we know that the game is coming out. Now, with the game coming out, I wanted to go over some of my wants for my wish list for the game, because again, the great thing about this game, they did a lot of things really well. They've got a lot of little tiny bugs here that they need to address. But again, what let's do is let's go through a couple of those things right now. So over here at Uproxx, we've got Bill DiFilippo and Robbie Callan. Robbie did a lot of really good job on those releases and a lot of the information up before the game was actually launched for EA College Football 25. So talking about the 6 things we want to see in EA Sports College Football 26, I actually like a couple of them. I'm going to make sure I'm going to give reference to here, the credit here, and then I'll talk about my own. So the first one they mentioned here is coordinator mode in Dynasty. Now, what they basically mean about that is that as opposed to head coach, you go somewhere as a head coach, you're able to recruit everybody. You go as an offensive coordinator, you only recruit offensive guys. You go as a defensive coordinator, you only recruit defensive guys. You can kind of go things there with that, but the great thing about this is basically just kind of narrows it down a little bit more into that true RPG mode of that you being that role of that coach. I actually kind of like this idea. Make the coordinator hires mean even more. I like this as well. It says right here, there's a very delicate balance that needs to be struck between making this matter and making the game more difficult. Having said that, I'm leaning into the coordinators having specific archetypes, and there being consequences related to your coordinators would be a fun twist. Part of this comes with via their specific archetypes. Let's say hiring a recruiter means that player development is harder in the game and stuff was more difficult. I actually don't mind that. Again, the thing about this is making sure you can't cap out as a coordinator. You already can't do that as a head coach. But I like this. I like this mode here. Again, maybe more archetypes out there, or maybe more sub archetypes within those archetypes. I remember here, the great thing about this game was that they gave it out there. They gave enough to kind of get it going. But I think that there's more specialization that can occur from here. How to play mode. I don't mind this here. I know that a lot of the people here, it kind of breaks this down in a couple different ways. Some of the how-tos here and there. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. You know me, baby, throwing those comebacks. I actually don't mind this, especially one thing here that it might even be like a 45-minute video. Does anybody have any issue with option routes? I know a lot of people say, oh, well, here's how you throw it. Dude, there's 800 bazillion option routes in this game. There's very few of them. I mean, the only one that really makes sense is the little, it's the little stick route. He either stops or he goes out. If it depends if it's man or if it's zone. That's the only one that really makes sense. The rest of them, I don't know if does he do it based off of awareness? Does he do it based off of the coverage? Does he do it based off of whether he's going to be open or not? No matter what the coverage is, I have no idea how to play mode. Especially, I would put there for option routes because they're just you need explanation on a lot of these things. Hopefully, they go through that with the next game. And mascot mashup, it's going to be in the game at some point. It's super cheap and easy to do. They had to get the mascots in there. Now, they're not going to have Bevo. Texas is, big old, maybe the like plush one, but they're not going to have the big old actual, Longhorn out there. But mascot mashup, they basically just take the skin of the, furry mascot. They put it on the field and they play. Not a big issue. Maybe the Syracuse orange might be weird because it's got that orange. That's the reason why whenever he runs, the arms don't actually leave its body on the old games. Again, I don't know what's going to happen here, but it'll probably be back at some point. Am I really stressing about it? Not really. One of the cooler things they mentioned here was going back to the drawing board on Road to Glory, really creating a really cool 10, 20-hour playthrough. That's what they're talking about here, was to have it be a shorter playthrough. But thinking about it a little bit bigger than that, maybe more, maybe more stories. Again, the problem with this is that I don't know how much the AI can really handle going from game to game, week to week, and handling the stories there. But I think you could maybe make this a little bit bigger here, maybe leaning into the student athlete experience. He said it's just he didn't really like what they did. They could do a better job. Again, what they do, I don't know, but I think there's more positions, things like that. I wanted to leave this over here to Robbie and them because that's their idea. And then finally, they talk about the combination of the players on the cover. Actually, David Pollock came out and said it's Jeremiah Smith, it's Ryan Williams, and it's Arch Manning. 1, 2, 3. Now, could it be Harold Perkins? Had a kind of a down year. Could it be Drew Allar, Cade Klubnik? Could it be DJ Legway from Florida? I don't know. But these are the guys out here. I have a hard time imagining that Arch Manning, who's already got plenty of sponsors, I think he's sponsored by Red Bull. I do have a hard time imagining he's not going to be on the cover. But again, we will see. This is what he has from Uproxx. All right, so I have 3 different sections here that I am going to break out. One of them is going to be TeamBuilder. The next one is going to be on and off field kind of customization there. And the third one is going to be Dynasty. So for TeamBuilder, pretty obvious here. I want to have more generic stadium, better stadium builder options. Unfortunately, right now, you basically take over the home stadium. I created a team, and I wanted to have UNLV Stadium, and every time I would score, despite the fact that my team is in Florida, it would be like, oh yeah, here we go, let's go back to halftime in Vegas. Kind of has a hard time with that. More generic stadiums would be a better option for this game. They need that especially for that team builder option. Custom sounds for home stadiums. Again, playing custom songs on third down, this and that. They did that for the users or for the teams out there. But for team builder, it'd be really cool if they did something like that. Again, it might be more complicated, but team builder needs to be built out a little bit more. And then logo alteration in team builder as well. Not everybody has access to Microsoft Paint and things like that. I had to use I had to actually sign up for a temporary Adobe membership in order to get my logo for my team properly down. If they had something like this in the game, be able to create it right then and there would save you a lot of time. All right, for the on and off field gameplay, most importantly here is this overtime freeze glitch. I am not the only person that has experienced this. Check this out. So I'm not going to play this here, but we got Hit Me Up TB down there with a couple subscribers. Put this up here, and this is totally legit. What will happen, and this happened to me in the CFP. I had to actually sim the game. I won the game. But again, the thing about this is it literally would just get you here. My players, when I froze, they were just walking, hit each other back and forth. I'm not going to play it. You'll be able to have this link in the description here. But again, this happened. It goes through it, and then it just stays just like this for all of eternity. And you have to basically turn the Xbox off. Fix that. Another thing here is that the switch stick on-off switch. Now, I know that it depends on what you are. If you're a pass rusher, it knows that the switch stick is used for actually pass rushing moves. But if you're a guy on the back end and somebody's coming across the middle and you want to time your big hit and you hit it and you switch to a free safety, I know that you can still do that and you can kind of screw yourself up. They wanted to make sure switch sticking could prevent cheeser plays. I understand that. But you can turn it off if you're a good enough player, if you're good enough at calling plays. I don't really think it's necessary to have it. That's just me, though. Up next here is a setting for aggressive. So you know how you can set your offensive line to block aggressive or block conservative or block balanced. They should be something like O-line RPO downfield aggressiveness. So what that should be is like on an RPO play, are you going to be conservative? As an example, if you run the slow mesh plays, offensive lines for Wake Forest didn't have as many downfield, illegal man downfield penalties as you would think they would have because they were coached not to go downfield. So what you need to do is have that be a setting. Maybe have it be conservative. You're not going to get any downfield, illegal men downfield, but you might not have as many aggressive blocks as you want. Maybe a balanced option and then an aggressive option where you're like, hey, dude, just go, do what you got to do. And then you'll be able to get more blocks from there. I think that's something they have to have in the game there. O-line RPO downfield aggressiveness. Again, probably conservative, balanced, and then aggressive. Something like that. Because players are actually coached to do that. You should be able to coach that out of the game. Also, personnel groupings in playbooks. Now, I know that they don't necessarily tell you this, and the same thing feeds in here, which special depth chart players is playing. It talks about, players are playing. Sorry, my English is incorrect. It talks about, like slot receivers, third down running backs, power running backs. It doesn't really tell you in the game which they are in the same way that personnel groupings. I want to know, is this 11 personnel? Is this 12 personnel? Is the slot receiver over here? Is the slot receiver over there? There are sometimes that the slot receiver is on the outside versus the inside. It's a weird situation there. If they were able to break that down pretty clearly, especially in those settings for creating custom playbooks or formation subs, it would be really, really appreciated. Also, formation subs, I've heard this is coming back. That's not confirmed though, but formation subs, I want this specific right outside linebacker in this play. I want this specific right outside linebacker in this formation, this specific DT, this specific quarterback, this specific here. You want all that. That way you don't have to worry about subbing in the game. It's already handled before the game even starts. All right, Dynasty. I actually have 2 tabs here for Dynasty. So more information tab in Dynasty and a user tab in Dynasty. Something like that would be absolutely critical because unfortunately right now, because of the lack of options there and because they could just take this from NCAA 2014. It was a much more easier to see what was going on with your users, see what's going on with your people who you're playing with, your Dynasty, the team you're playing, all that sorts of stuff. Because unfortunately, the user interface right now doesn't do as much as it could. So right now I'm here in the main page of the Dynasty. You see actions that tells you what you have to do. You go to CFB, it tells you your team schedule, and then the scores and the results. The problem is if I'm over here and playing with multiple members here, I can't see what they're doing unless I go to this members tab. I'm not going to show you because I don't want you to see their gamer tags. But you can see the fact that this is right here. Obviously, you see me getting dump trucked by Michigan right there, but it's not as involved as it should be. I should be able to come over here, press Y, see what Michigan's schedule is, see what their stat leaders are, see what their, basic breakdown of their team, like what their rivals are, things like that to make it a little bit more accessible. Unfortunately, the NCAA Football 2014 had it. They don't have it on this game. In the same way that I can't see what's going on with the users, is this user set ready to advance? Is this user win? Did they lose? I can't see all this from this screen. It used to be right up in front of your face, very easy to be involved with it, very easy to be interactive with people. Oh, maybe you'll comment on something here and there. Can't do that right now. I have to go to that members tab, see if they won or see if they played or if they didn't play, and then go back to the CFP, find their team, go through the schedule, as opposed to going to one screen, press the button, see what's going on with them. A lot easier to do it like that. Continuing on with that, we want to make sure we have active and targeted player development. What I mean by that is that a football coach in real life has the ability to be like, hey, I want you to get lighter this offseason. Hey, I want to get bigger this offseason. Hey, I want to get you more flexible this offseason. Coaches have the ability to do that. Right now, it's basically just like they develop however they develop. Obviously, most of that develop is going to be dependent upon the player. A really high-profile player that has a lot of room to grow should, but there should be some times where it's like, hey, I want you to grow a little bit, get stronger. They get a little bit stronger. They fill out from there. I'm a big fan of the Las Vegas Raiders. Max Crosby went to the Raiders. He was a little bit light. He bulked up. Eventually, he got to the player that he is today. That's a small example. I know it's also the NFL, but you understand as a coach, you should have the ability to do that. I think it should be in the game, active and targeted player development. Active as well, meaning that though when you get those points, you should be able to apply them as a coach. That's just me being me. Or maybe you can do that in the off season, whereas during the regular season, it's just dependent upon the player. You guys let me know what you guys think about that. Also, dynamic rivalries in Dynasty, something like that, where depending upon how many times you played, how close the games are, you should be able to create a rivalry. It might be very, very hard to do so, but the fact that Oklahoma and Texas have been playing for a zillion years, Alabama and Auburn have been playing for a zillion years, you should be able to play somebody 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a row, or you play them once in the regular season, once at the conference championship, you play them 5 times in 4 years, and the games are always decided by 7 points or less. Something like that should be in the game. Also, we need deeper levels of data in play style determination for recruiting. Check this out. So here we are on the play style determination for my team. Obviously, my team sucks right now. Hey, listen, just take it easy on us. You can see the fact that for us, we are currently D- for field general quarterbacks, which makes sense. We only have 198 passing yards a game. That number's going to go up. I just updated my playbook. But the problem is I go to improviser, and it's the same thing. It's just passing yards per game. So an improviser, a field general, and even a scrambler all determine whether or not you have passing yards per game. What I think it should be, field general should be passing yards per game. That makes total sense. Scrambler should be rushing yards per game. You want a scrambler. And then improviser should be a combination of both, meaning, let's just say you're, 50th in passing as a quarterback and 50 in the rushing yards as a quarterback. You should be 50th in the improviser level. That way, the combination of passing yards ranking and rushing yards ranking, the combination of that should be determined there. That's another example of what I think should happen. Now, they have this a little bit here. As you can see, the tight end has rushing yards per game. The tight end who's a blocker has rushing yards per game. And then the vertical threat has passing yards per game. They need to do that more specifically, though, with power running backs versus speed running backs here and there. I think they'll be able to find some things there. Again, that example, again, I'm just giving that to you, EA. I think it should be for quarterbacks. It should be field generals, passing yards, scramblers, rushing yards. And then the improviser should be the rank of the passing yards, and then the rank of the rushing yards averaged out and then ranked as it goes from there. Another thing here, custom playoffs. I know the fact we've got the 12-team playoff, and I love the fact, but we're already talking about going to 14 in real life. What's going to happen? Are we going to have 4 automatic buys? Again, all those sorts of things are going to happen here. A certain amount of slots for this conference, certain amount of slots for this conference. I don't really know. Maybe we have a 64-team bracket. That would be crazy. They need to have more customization in there. It would make the game a lot better. Also, a co-op dynasty would be a really cool option there. Make sure you have two people on the same team. It probably has to work with internet or something like that. You have to have probably like a certain level of connection in order for it to be able to work, or somebody's just gonna be able to freeze in the middle of the screen. I don't know how that would work. It would be really cool if they could do that. Also, a dynasty companion. I had stated they're gonna have it. They have it for Madden. They have it for a couple different things out there. They didn't have it for this game. You should be able to do your recruiting on your phone, connect to your dynasty. That way things can just go that much quicker. It's something that they've done before. They need to put it in now. Again, this first year was about making sure that the gameplay was good on the game or on the field, and it's pretty good. And I really like it. Again, what's one of the top selling games of the year. But there's a lot of these features that need to be added in there. And finally, Dynasty number 2, we need more unicorn recruits. The problem here is that Derwin James doesn't exist in the game. Derwin James would be really, really fast. He would be big. He would be a hitter. He would have good block shedding. He would have good press. He would have good man coverage. He would have good zone coverage. They just don't have that in the game. If you're a really good run support safety, it's really hard to get a guy who's like a Cam Chancellor. Really hard to get a quarterback who looks like a Cam Newton. Again, kind of those unicorn type players that are out there. A Calvin Johnson. You might have somebody like that, maybe a physical receiver. But I need more unicorn recruits. They did a really good job of creating the templates for the players. However, I think they shoved everybody in those templates, especially the generated recruits. A lot of the generated recruits kind of look all the same, just varying levels of ability overall. But nothing that where it's going to be like somebody's really good at this, but somebody's not really good at that. But they could still be a high-profile player. But maybe there's somebody who's a little bit better over here versus over there. It doesn't vary as much as I want it to. Again, that's just me, though. Another one here is more project recruits, high growth potential. Basically, there should be players who are like, he's 42 overall, he's never played football, he's going to have 29 awareness, but he's got elite dev trait, and he's going to be a freak of nature if you can be patient with him, and if you can keep him based off of NIL and transfer portal. So I think that would be something that's really cool. We see that a lot of times. Ziggy Ansah was an example with BYU where he was, on the track team. Like, who the hell is that guy? Get him on the team, make it work out with him, and he should be a big-time player. I like those project recruits. Also, realistic dynasty conference scheduling. This is one of the dumbest things in the game. This is so stupid. This is such an easy fix. This is one of those bugs that they need to address right now. This is a huge, huge black eye for EA college football. Check this crap out. Now, I put myself at San Jose State in the Big Ten. As you can see here, this is not a Big Ten game, not a Big Ten game, not a Big Ten game, not a Big Ten game. So the rest of these are Big Ten games. It's an 8-game conference schedule. Now, why in the world, in an 8-game conference schedule, which should be really easy, it should be 4 home and 4 away, I have 1 away game, 2 away games, 3 away games, 4 away games, 5 away games, 6 away games. Why in the hell? I can't change that. There's no options there. I said it. It's a 9-game conference, or a 9-team conference with an 8-game conference schedule. There's absolutely positively no reason why it should be 2 home games and 6 away games. That's a huge glitch. Fix it right now. It should have been fixed months ago. You should have been fixed this should have been one of the first things that you did. Okay, after you did the gameplay, is address this right here. This is a huge black eye. Fix the scheduling on the conference scheduling. It's a bunch of crap. I'm sorry, I get a little triggered over that one there. The next one here is NIL allocated points. Basically, rather than brand exposure, you'd have specifically where points you can allocate out. Obviously, you guys know the bigger teams, you can allocate more points. Certain coaches can extract more points from certain teams. So like as an example, if Nick Saban were to go to Kent State, he'd get all the donors' money. Whereas if a really bad coach went to Kent State, he couldn't get any of the coach of the boosters money, things like that. NIL allocated points, you can add them, subtract them. It'd be something that'd be really cool you can put in the game there. Position playing time. So what I mean by that is this person this is an athlete, and they want to play right tackle, but you put them at defensive tackle, they get, that's playing time is bad. I wanted to play right tackle. You're forcing me to play left or defensive tackle. I'm off the team. I would really like something like that in the game. Also, position changes only in the offseason. I think that, unfortunately, you should have it like that. I want people because I don't really like the ability to kind of change them throughout the year. I want to do it at the very end of the year, just so you can have them once at the beginning of the season. You can still take somebody who's a right outside linebacker and put them in middle linebacker on the depth chart, but they should train at what you put them at the end of the year only and develop at that position specifically. If you move them, they don't necessarily train as well. Also, a position ability chart. They have this during the position changes section where you can go to somebody, you can press A and see what they are in all of these different positions. You should be able to see that throughout the season. So you can go into the transfer portal, see somebody like, you know what, I like you as a wide receiver, but you're a big wide receiver, physical receiver, you'd be a really good tight end. Something like that you can see beforehand. Again, it would be another one, a little tab on the player's chart, just the same way that like stats and depth and their health and this and that. I'd like something like that in the game. All right, guys, what do you want that's in the game that I didn't mention there or you didn't see in the Uproxx article? Again, me personally, the big one there is that conference scheduling. The fact that right now the game is awesome. It's had multiple updates and it's never been addressed. And the fact that the Dynasty conference scheduling, you can still have 2 home games and 6 away games in a 9-team conference with an 8-game conference schedule. That's the easiest one to schedule in all of college football. You can't get it right. I have to play 6 away games. We suck. Anyways, get in the comments right now. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to add, what you want to change, what you want to subtract, all that sort of stuff. Also, remember to please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.